did you say?
Page 18.
Mr. Patlan?
Yes, sir.
Sir, you're charged with driving while your license is suspended. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
On December 2nd, 2024, officers were dispatched to a minor accident on Sam Houston Parkway. Upon arrival, the officer met with both parties of the accident as well as a witness. The witness advised that there were minor disturbances on the scene in which a knife was brandished by the defendant who was parked across the street from the accident. The officer identified the defendant and discovered he had a mandatory suspension on his driver's license for a second DWI. And the defendant advised that he had still been driving for work. He had personal business despite having personal knowledge of the suspension. The defendant stated he was driving from San Antonio and was only waiting for his coworker who was involved in the accident.
Does he have an open DWI right now?
Does not appear so, Your Honor. It appears that the last DWI he had was in 2019 out of Bexar County.
Bear.
Bear County, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Patlan,
Yes, sir.
I want you to understand one thing. I'm going to find that there's, so wait a second. Someone saw him driving or did the officer see him driving? Because I didn't.
He admitted that he had been driving for work. And he admitted to having personal knowledge of suspension as well.
Did anyone see him driving?
No, Your Honor, there's only the
Do we
statement.
know even when he was driving?
There was an accident. That's what dispatch involved. And then
Okay, so, all right, okay, so,
there was an accident and then officers arrived and then they made contact with the defendant.
got it. So all this was in response to an accident that he was allegedly involved in.
Yes.
Got it. All right. So I am going to find probable cause, Mr. Patlan.
Sure.
And no, don't. You have the right to remain silent, exercise. I've got about a bunch of DAs here. Anything you say, they're going to use it against you. But let me make something abundantly clear to you. I'm going to have you sign with me today an affidavit. This is a promise that you're making to me that you're not going to drive. I don't care what is going on in your life. When we mean no driving, we mean no driving. I don't care if there's a burning building and you have to save 50 kids. Do not drive. If you do, I can have a contempt hearing facing up to 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every time you drive. Do you understand? I don't care what your excuse is. You cannot justify at all any reason. If you want to drive, go get a license, get liability insurance, and then we can talk. But until that point, I will even do this. This is the number to the DPS driver's license division. If you call them, they can tell you exactly what you need to do to get your license back.
Classes now, sir.
There may be, an SR 22, you may have to do all these other things. What you need to do is call them and they can advise you, but don't drive. Do you understand?
And Your Honor, I do have to make a correction. After reading the full DIMS, the defendant was parked across from the accident. It was his coworker that was involved in the accident. He was parked across, Your Honor. And I do apologize. After reading the complete DIMS, the officer wrote that the defendant was parked across the street from the accident, and he made a statement that he was waiting on his coworker who was in the accident.
No one sees him driving.
He was just parked across the street.
No, no, what? Really?
He made the statement that
I get it.
he was in the vehicle and he made the statement.
I took a shower today. No, I mean, you just make a statement. I mean, no, there's no proof.
To having knowledge of the suspension, and he was in the vehicle parked across the street.
But no one sees him driving?
He did make a statement.
No. All right, I'm going to find no probable cause. Sir, be careful.
I will.
We have enough.
I understand.
All we're asking you to do is follow the law. It's really not hard. Give them a call. They can tell you exactly what you need to do. That's the way we do things, right? All right, sir. Just hang tight for me, okay?
Sure.
Thanks.
Judge, that's it for now. Before reset.
Madam Clerk, FSGI.
Yeah, so the FSGI was on 9/15.
Jesus,
Yes.
okay.
Morning, Mr. Spencer. How are you? It looks like you have picked up a failure to stop and give information, which is essentially leaving the scene of an accident. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. I have no idea what happened on your case, so we're going to do probable cause at this point. The only thing I do know is that you're set at no bond at this point, that's not a good thing. So we're going to set you a bond. I just don't know what. And I do know that it looks like out of the same transaction, you picked up also 2 aggravated assaults with a deadly weapon. Those are each set at 150,000. So with that in mind, please.
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Spencer, before they read this, this is your attorney, Alan Williams. Do not say anything. Just let them read the probable cause, okay?
Yes, Judge. On September 18, 2024, officers were dispatched to a suspicious person call in Harris County, Texas. The officers were investigating and noted the vehicle involved in an aggravated assault matched the description of a truck in a hit and run case. The officer observed a blue Sierra parked on a construction site and observed the Sierra to have a broken right front headlight. The officer ran the license plate and learned the truck was listed as a suspicious vehicle in a failure to stop and give information. The officer met with the owner of the Sierra, the defendant, and the defendant stated he is the owner of the blue Sierra and that he is the only one that drives the truck. The defendant stated that on September 15th, his daughter used the truck and told him she was involved in an accident, but did not give any information to the other driver. The officer spoke with the complainant who stated that on September 15th, he was parked at a gas station and he was pumping gas when the defendant struck his vehicle on the front driver's side. The complainant stated the defendant drove away, sideswiping his vehicle, and the complainant called 911 and followed the defendant as he drove away to a nearby gas station. The complainant stated he observed the defendant almost strike a building while driving in front of the gas station, and the complainant remained in visual contact of the defendant and watched him exit the vehicle and enter the gas station, stumbling while almost falling over while walking. The complainant stated the defendant remained in the store for about 10 minutes before leaving the store, and that the driver of the truck was a white male, and the complainant stated the defendant caused $3,000 worth of damage to his vehicle. And the officer reviewed surveillance video from the gas station and saw the defendant as the only occupant of the vehicle.
Okay. What happened with the ag assaults?
So it was,
Right.
I believe that when the officers were called for the FSGI, when they were called to that place, I think it was an apartment complex or construction site. They, I think, noted that that was the vehicle that the suspect in the ag assault had been driving at the time of the ag assault, because the ag assault occurred at an apartment complex. I think that's how they connected them.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's how they, I guess, connected this defendant,
What was
but it
it?
wasn't out of the same transaction.
Was it though? Did he hit someone with the car?
No, Judge, so the officers were dispatched to an apartment complex. The complaining witness or a witness stated the defendant was firing a gun while out of the vehicle. Officer spoke with the complaining witness, age 13, who states that he was walking with friends and observed a Hispanic male sitting in a truck parked on the street, arguing with a black male inside the apartment complex in the gated area in Harris County, Texas. Complaining witness stated he observed the male in the truck pull a handgun and start shooting in his general vicinity. The complaining witness was struck in the knee, requiring medical treatment. I believe a different complaining witness states that he and his friends were near the pool area of the apartment complex and heard gunshots and started running and realized that I guess their friend had been shot in the foot. But yes.
Okay. Do you guys have a recommendation as to a bond?
We're gonna ask the bond be set at $10,000, Judge.
Did you hear that, Alan?
Yes, Your Honor. Given the circumstances, that would be a good one.
You're in agreement then?
Yes, Your Honor. He's currently on a parole hold as well. And his current bond at the felony level is, I think, set at $150,000.
Right. So there is a parole hold. So I guess this doesn't, I was going to do a no driving affidavit, but I mean, don't drive. You know, there are happy drivers and then there are people who are not happy drivers, right? Just don't drive. please. All right. We'll set your bond at, Mr. Spencer, I'll set your bond at 10,000. If you bond out, you must come here. Well, I guess you can't bond out. He's got a blue warrant, right? You know, what's he on parole for? Do you know?
NCIC.
Yeah, Judge, sorry. There's a little bit of criminal history.
Aggravated robbery. For you.
Okay, thanks. But just don't, you know, I don't know what's going to happen, but if you do somehow get out, please come back here for the next business day for bond conditions. But as a condition of your bond, I'm ordering you not to drive now, regardless. Yeah. Okay. So what we'll do is I guess we'll wait it out to see what happens upstairs. We'll just keep this rolling with that. And at some point, something will happen and then, you know, but yeah. All right. Good luck, Mr. Spencer. All right. You now have picked up a new case, Mr. Arispe. You now stand charged with terroristic threat or a family or a household member. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Officer was dispatched to a residence in response to a family disturbance. The complainant, the defendant's stepmother, stated that the defendant was upset because he was owed money. The defendant told other members of the complainant's family, if they don't have my money by tonight, I'm going to kill them, as well as I'm going to send my people to shoot them up. The defendant also told the complainant directly, if you don't have my money by tonight, you are going to see. A family member of the defendant and complainant stated that he had seen the defendant walking around with a pistol in his pocket, and the complainant knows that the defendant owned several rifles as well.
You were on bond for unlawful carrying of a weapon. Did we order him not to have one?
Yes, Judge.
Regardless, you've picked up a new case. What happens now is I'm going to revoke your bond in the first place and you will stay with me. I will appoint you a lawyer today, Mr. Arispe, so we can talk about how to go forward, but I am ordering you now not to have any contact with these people. Do you understand? And I'm going to tell you, you pick up a third case, I'm going to go bonkers on the bonds. Do you understand? I'm going to do everything in my power to protect this public at all cost. All right, goes with you. Do you mind appointing him? No? Yeah, when we get a lawyer. We'll do it. Who? Oh, Jillian? Okay, I guess when we get Jillian here, then she does. Okay, got it. So, but he still has a PR bond on the first case. Ixnay on the PR bond.
All right. Four,
Page 4. All right, got it.
top of page 4.
Good morning, guys. Guys, you were both charged with criminal cases. Mr. Araujo, you were charged with public lewdness. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. And Ms. Serrato, you were charged with possession of marijuana. You are facing, oh, and also public lewdness. You're facing up to a year in jail on the lewdness, and you're facing up to 6 months in jail on the marijuana. Guys, we're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you. And on Araujo, he only has a one case, not the also POA, right? Okay, all right.
On December 2nd, 2024, officers were on patrol when he observed a vehicle parked on the dead end of a public roadway, and the officer observed two adults, the defendant, Serrato, and co-defendant Araujo, having intercourse in the backseat of the vehicle. Upon stopping the occupant, the officer observed the co-defendant's genitals being removed from the defendant's lower body as he got off her, as she was laid down in the back seat. The officer also detected a strong odor of marijuana emitting from the interior of the vehicle, and the defendant, Serrato, admitted to just having smoked along with being in possession of marijuana. She advised that all 7.6 grams of marijuana in the vehicle belonged to her, and the co-defendant stated he does not smoke marijuana. Both admitted to having sexual intercourse.
Got it. All right, guys, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm ordering you now as a condition of your bond not to do this again and outside. I mean, great, but not where everybody can see it. Come on. Understand?
Sir,
All right, guys. How old are you, Mr. Serrano or Mr. Arauco?
30,
You're 30. What do you do for a living?
construction.
What kind of money do you make a month? Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer? How much money do you make a month? A month?
Oh, a month. Oh, 16, probably like 24, 30, like 3,000 probably.
Okay. Do you have children? All right. Well, we're going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. Okay. I'm also ordering you as a condition of your bond not to use. No more marijuana. I'm telling you. Okay. Just don't. Also with you, no more marijuana. I'm finding probable cause in your case as well. You have the same conditions. No outside. You know what? No marijuana as well. What do you do for a living? How much money do you make a month?
I got those numbers. I'd like one check.
Where do you work?
I work at Memorial City Mall.
Okay. Where in Memorial City?
Store gas.
Guess? Okay. Would you like to fill out an application for an appointed lawyer?
Sorry?
Do you want to fill out an application for a court-appointed lawyer? Okay, I'll have you fill out an application. We're going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. Do not leave until both of you sign our bond conditions, and then we'll have you go. Okay? So first, you're going to meet with Victoria. We're going to have you sign a reset, and then we'll have you both take a seat in the jury box, and then we'll excuse you here momentarily. All right? Please. Yes, on both of them, no marijuana, no fornicating out in public. No, you.
Yeah, all right. So Daniel, yes, sir, no, sir, arms by your side. All he's doing is setting the rules that you're going to follow, okay?
Yes, sir.
What's the name?
Bledsoe. Evading arrest and terroristic threat. He was in custody because he had a pending felony with 228. So he's bonded out on all. The evading, I think, is 12 yards per the officer.
So I see that on 10/17 of 24, he picks up a felony assault. And 3 days later, he picks up a terroristic threat, and then he picks up an evading arrest. And they give him PR bonds on these cases. Is that what happened? And
He bonded out since his last setting. I didn't check to see if they were PRs or not, Judge. I know that he had to pay money in felony court.
yeah, it's just, I'm not dealing with PR bonds on this. I mean, he picks up 2 new cases if it's the same. Well, hold on a second. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. You've now picked up 2 new cases. You picked up a terroristic threat. You picked up an evading arrest.
I will say our cases are the new cases. So I wouldn't call them
Alright.
new, they're just cases. Well, he picked up the felony and then afterwards he picked up these 2 misdemeanors.
I don't understand why he's coming here in December when he got a bond in October. How on earth is it?
He was in custody, I think, on the felony.
Oh, I see. Okay, and then he bonded out of the, right, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. Please, what happened?
On October 19, 2024, officers were dispatched to a minor crash at a residential home in Harris County, Texas. The call described a male at the location crashing his motor vehicle, then pulling a gun and was trying to fight people at the location. When officers arrived at the location, they observed people at the location pointing at the defendant. Upon contact with the defendant, the officers introduced themselves as Houston police and told them to stop. The defendant then walked into his residence and came back out approximately 2 minutes later. The officers instructed the defendant to come towards them, but the defendant began to evade on foot from the officer the second time. The defendant ran approximately 12 yards from the officer before placing him in handcuffs. A person search on the defendant revealed he had a prior arrest and an active felony warrant. Upon contact with the complainant advised the defendant was driving up and down the street in his car and crashed. The complainant stated the defendant began to tell the complainant he was going to shoot him and kill him. The complainant advised the defendant then began to reach into his waistband and kept saying he was going to shoot him. The complainant feared for his life and felt threatened by the defendant's statement.
I'll say gun was never found. No charges where the gun were ever filed. They charged him with terroristic threat. They would have charged him with ag assault if the police had believed that a firearm was used.
Mr. Bledsoe, let me make something perfectly clear to you. I will do everything in my power to protect my public at all costs. And I don't care if I have to make your bond $2 million. I'm going to do everything in my power to protect my public at all cost. Do you understand?
Yes,
I don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what, nothing. I want my county safe. You will be signing an affidavit with me today, promising me that you're not going to have any weapons whatsoever. And if I find that you have a weapon, I can have a contempt hearing. You're looking at 180 days in jail every time if you're caught with a gun. Do you understand? I'm sending you now for a drug test. I want to know what, if anything, is going to be in your system as well. I'm ordering you not to use alcohol or illegal drugs, and I'm going to test you like crazy. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
What do you do for a living?
I work for Leland Airmark Bakery.
Okay, that's what you need to concentrate on. Working a lot so that your time is occupied. When you have too much time on your hands, you become self-destructive. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do
You're right
you
about
have, thank you. Do you have a Texas driver license?
that.
It's a yes or it's a no. Then you're not allowed to drive. On this affidavit, you will also be promising me that you're not going to drive. Do you?
Do you have a different state's driver's license?
City?
He asked if you have a Texas driver's license. Do you have a driver's license from any other state?
No, I'm from Houston.
Okay, sorry. I'm just making sure you didn't have Louisiana or something.
Not drive. I am also putting on this affidavit that you're not going to drive. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You're looking around, you're just, heed this warning, Mr. Bledsoe. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I totally understand. I only have one off day. I just sleep all day.
Did he say, did I hear him say that he had an objection?
No, most
He was
definitely not.
he was just
No.
asking me a question.
Okay,
No
just
objections.
don't use. Stay out of trouble. You're in enough hot water as it is. You know, the thing is, Mr. Bledsoe, is that a lot of people make very, very poor choices when they're out there in life. And sometimes that choice makes it to where you will live the next 40 years in a 6x9 box. And I'm going to tell you now, I've read have you been to prison before?
Nope.
I've read, I want you to hear me. I've read stuff about what happens in prisons, and it had me in tears. It was as bad as could possibly, if you think of your worst nightmare, it's worse in our Texas prisons. They don't give a rat's behind about you, and you will be passed around like a proverbial doll. It's awful. Believe me, it's not worth it. Don't have a gun.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Judge, did you want to